Surprise! Even to myself. Because I said I wasn't going to do any reviews this weekend. But you know what? Last night, being Friday, I'm trying to find something to watch. And I see this Hunting in the Blind Manor. I'm like, you know what? I'll put it in. You know, no need to review it. But as I kept going further and further, I felt the need to review it. So, just a precursor to this, I have seen The Haunting of Hill House, which made me want to get this. This came out. I saw Haunting of Hill House and it was on Netflix. I bought the DVD set. I watched maybe the first disc of the DVD set and haven't really continued. But if you've seen The Haunting of Hill House, or even if you haven't seen it, you can still watch this. It's not connected, except for a few actors that come in playing different roles. You have Henry Thomas, you know, the guy from E.T., he's in this as a different character. Oliver Jackson Cohen's in this as a different character. Victoria Pedretti plays the main character and she's a different character. Even Kate Siegel, Mike Flanagan's wife, shows up at some point in this, because of course she does. But there's no need to watch that before you watch this, and which means I can review this without having to say anything about that. Other than I'm going to draw a few comparisons here and there, but no spoilers for that. Spoilers for this, but no spoilers for that. But when I started watching this, I got confused. Because at first it's a little creepy. You see some stuff. But then as it goes forward, it changes direction. And it's like, okay, this isn't even scary anymore. What's going on? Like, there's the first couple episodes, there was some creepy stuff. Like, very limited, but like, then here, once you get further and further, it pushes away from that, and it's... So if you're here and you just want to know, going in, if you've watched Haunting of Hill House, know going into this, it's not the same kind of story. It's not horror exactly. There's some haunting elements to it. You know, a gothic type feel, but this is a love story. It's about the love of two women, the love of a family, the love of people who worked in the same place but never got to express their love until it was too late. It's love. In fact, the first shot of this is a wedding practice dinner, whatever you call it, rehearsal dinner, where I immediately went, "Oh, hi, Mark," because this woman, I won't spoil who she is yet, but I will eventually, is marrying Mark from The Room. That's right. I forgot his name, but it's Mark from The Room. What's his name? Hold on. I have best friends right here somewhere, right? That's not it. No, come on. Come on. Greg Sestero. I couldn't. That's who it is. Mark from The Room. Greg Sestero. He's there in the wedding thing, and there's this woman played by Carla Gugino, who I forgot to mention, and she's dressed with an older makeup, which is confusing, but as she tells this story. Now, let's stop here for a minute. She is telling the story to this people. The entire 9 episodes are being told from her point of view. She narrates multiple episodes. So, keep in mind that at a certain point... Okay, so I'm gonna lay out one of my biggest problem with this is it doesn't seem like they had enough story for the main story to fit the entire 9 episodes. Because like 3 or 4 episodes of these are flashback episodes with just a little bit of the main story thrown in. Like you get like the first 3 episodes are all building up, showing this story, and then all of a sudden we flash back and we see what happened in Danny's life, which is she's the main character. We see what happened in Quint. We see what happened with Hannah, and with, you know, there's even a flashback to the people who own the mansion in the beginning. so much, because we got just episode 8, where we flash back to the owners, is probably the worst episode because it explains something that doesn't need to be explained. One of the most creepy aspects of Hunting a Hill House is there was all these ghosts in the house, and barely any of them got explained. Couple, but barely any of them beyond that. They explain every ghost, every apparition you've seen in excruciating detail, mostly in this episode, in episode 8, when you have Viola and her sister, and they live in the house. She marries this guy who is apparently their distant cousin, which is gross. And then she falls ill, and she has a daughter, but then she falls ill, and she lasts longer than the doctors say, but she dies, and then it's revealed, she's the Lady of the Lake, which we've been seeing here and there, that the little girl Flora sees, and yeah, but the way they set it up, they have this, at least like the last couple episodes, or the precursor to this was like, okay, we'll show a little thing, like there's, at the end of episode 6, we see that the two ghosts of Quint and Jessel are still in the mansion, and then it's Quint's plan to take over the kids' bodies, and they capture and they bound and gag Danny, and then we have that little bit at the beginning, and then the rest of the episode is just following flashbacks, repeating flashbacks because they're stuck in a loop with inside the mansion. And so we just keep going back, specifically with Quint, where he keeps going back to the knocking noise, which his mom knocks, trying to extort him for money. And that happens like 3 or 4 times in the episode. And by the time, every time you hear the knock, you're like, no, come on, just like he is. No. And yeah. And then you get to the end of the episode, and Danny is freed. She grabs the girl. They get outside, and the girl's kind of, fighting against her. Then the Lady of the Lake shows up and grabs her. Cut in the episode. Start next episode. We see this happen again, and then it immediately flashes back to everything with the owners of the house. And it just feels like they had only so much of the main story that they had to fill with backstory, explaining every ghost and apparition character we've seen. And I don't think it was, when you tell us, I know this isn't a horror story, but even in a film or a TV show, when you have characters that are like ghosts, apparitions, stuff like that, you don't need to explain every little thing. Leave your audience wondering, what really happened? What is going on with all the ghosts? They explain everything. There's a thing at the beginning of the season, series, whatever, where there's these muddy footprints that keep showing up in the house, which they say, oh, it's the kids. They keep going in and out of the house at night, but they don't leave. Even Flora at the beginning says, don't leave your room at night, but because she knows about the Lady of the Lake. But it's the Lady of the Lake going back and forth, looking for her lost daughter, even though she doesn't remember it, but she goes back and forth. But my biggest problem was, that's stupid, because how can the lady confuse the gardener or the maid, whatever, confuse it with housekeeper, whatever, confuse the footprints with the kids' footprints, but it's a fully grown adult female footprint. I'm like, oh, so it's her footprints. Oh, that's stupid. That's stupid, because now we have to think that the housekeeper is stupid for not realizing that they're adult-sized footprints. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And we see all the ghosts that we've seen throughout the house, or ones that she killed. There's the vicar, there's the guy that was the doctor or whatever for the plague, the little boy that Flora found. All ghosts killed by her, and that's why they're there, and they lose their faces, and that's supposed to be creepy a little bit, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't work. Also, like I said, the framing device of this is that there's a woman telling a story. So she's telling this main story what's going on, plus somehow she's telling about the flashbacks. She's telling about the flashbacks with what Quint did, even though she wasn't there, and the stuff with Danny, even though she wasn't there, but she could have been told later because spoilers. I'll get to that. But like, I don't know. And then she somehow knows all about the backstory of the people who lived in the mansion. I don't know what pictures are on the wall, but I don't know. I know she was a gardener there, but it just seems so meh. One thing that I did change my mind of, because they started doing it so heavily in this, this movie takes place, this show takes place in 1987 primarily. And they focus on a lesbian relationship at a time when that wasn't a thing. And I always hate that when they go back to time periods when that wasn't a thing and they focus on it, because it's present day, it's time, it's 2020, 2021. We could shove that in people's faces. And I was like, oh, come on. Because, like, you see there's some kind of attraction between them at first, her and the gardener. And then when we flash back to see what's going on with her, because you see this creepy guy with the ghost. And that's another thing. I'll get to that in a minute. But the creepy guy with the creepy glasses, which ends up being the ghost of her ex-fiance, she's getting fitted for her dress. The lady who's in there helping her kind of brushes her back, and she's all, and it's like, okay. And then she breaks up with her fiance because she doesn't love him anymore. And it's like, okay, I'm breaking up with a man because I want to be with women, because that's cool. But in 1987, it wasn't. She doesn't specifically say that's why she's doing it, because she likes women, but the audience knows. But before y'all start trying to cancel me, I got on board. Okay, I know I've complained about LGBTQ stuff in movies. I think it's fine to do it. I just think they do it too much. Okay, but by the end of this series, I was on board. I was in tears at this story, because take this point of reference. The beginning of this, I was unsure. In the middle, I was like, okay, this is okay. By the end, I was in tears because of what I've seen. It was so, I don't want to say beautiful, but it worked. You go in with the mindset that this is not a ghost story, it's a love story, and they do say that. Fine. However, there is one thing I want to point out. As they say that everyone that dies in or on the grounds of Bly Manor becomes a ghost and is stuck there. We see that with Quint, with Jessel, with Hannah, spoiler alert, with various ghosts that the Lady of the Lake has killed. Even her sister, who, I guess, she died on the grounds, but before the curse happened. And that's one thing, because there was a ghost at the beginning, which is where I kind of went, what are they doing? Where, like, when the girl, Flora, is singing, you see a ghost go, ah, and he goes, shh. I'm like, wait, that was creepy, and you just shushed it away. What are we doing? And I think that's supposed to be the sister. I don't think that's the Lady of the Lake, because it wasn't at nighttime. I don't think. It wasn't anyone. I don't know. I think it was the sister. Later they show her, the sister, in the house, in the attic where she was killed. But she was killed, like they say, when as soon as they put the chest that held her ghost in the lake, that's when the whole thing became cursed. Anyone that died, like it started with the doctor. She killed him and but then all of a sudden her sister's ghost is there somehow, and they say so long they lose their face, they lose their memories. Okay. But also, how is the ghost of Danny's fiance there? He didn't die there anywhere near. He died in America. This is in Bly, in England. There's no... How? You could say it was a memory, because they say that they go in and out of memories there. Maybe it was a memory haunting her, but I don't know. It's just very weird. He's the only ghost that's seen in the house that wasn't killed in the house. So I don't know. I do want to say that the acting in this is actually pretty good. There are actors putting on accents. Like you have an English actor like Oliver Jackson Cohen, who's doing an Irish accent or a brogue like this, like thus. And he's talking like this the whole time. Oh, maybe that's Scottish. Maybe it's Scottish. Who knows? He's talking like this the whole time. And there's also, you have Carla Gugino and Henry Thomas, who are both American, and they're doing the voices. And sometimes when you have American actors doing British voices, it doesn't work. Like, take for instance, Bill and Ted Face the Music. The actresses in there are American that play the princesses, but they have to do English accent. And specifically, the one who plays Joanna, I thought was going to be terrible because the actress plays a bubbly personality, but she actually does a pretty good job with the British accent. So you get good actors and actresses doing stuff, they can do a good job. And apart from that, just the performances in this are pretty good. Even the kids, I was shocked at how well, because sometimes kid actors can make and break your movie or show, and they did a very good job in this. Specifically, Miles. He was perfect. But yes, we get the reveal at the end. So, just to get into it, this main story, I guess I'm now about 16 minutes in, I'm going to tell you the story. It's The Turning. It's The Turning, The Turn of the Screw, The Turning, the movie that came out in 2020 that sucked ass. This is handled much better. But Danny is a governess who comes to take care of these two children, Miles and Flora. And then spooky things happen. And you have Henry, and that's their uncle, and he doesn't go anywhere near the house. And you find out later that's because that's why I say this is about love. It's about the love between Danny and the gardener. Love between the family, the brother and the sister, and the love for their parents. The love that the parents once had and don't have anymore because the mom is cheating with the uncle. The love that Danny once had for her fiance who died and she didn't have love anymore. The love that Hannah has for the cook and all that. It's love. The story is being told at a practice dinner for a wedding. It's about love, and it works. If you consider that, if this is not a ghost story, it's a horror story. I keep saying that because they say that in the show. So you go in with that mindset, I think you'll enjoy it. And once we get done with all the flashbacks where people are, I'm not going to go into all that, but there's a lot of flashbacks. We're done with that. The last episode has the main story being told, where you have her being dragged away, but Flora comes to the rescue, and she gets dragged away, but, one more thing I want to say before I continue is the twist. There is one twist in this with a character, Hannah, the housekeeper, that I saw coming early on. Because she wasn't eating. She says, I ate earlier, I'm fine. I'm like, she's a ghost. Sure enough, they revealed that she was killed like the night before Danny arrived. And she's been a ghost the entire time. And I was like, called it. That was an easy twist, because that if you're doing like a ghost story, that's one of the easiest twists to do is they were a ghost the entire time. I mean, hello, M. Night Shyamalan did it best. Come on, you can't best that. But yeah, so the end of this, as we find you by saying you, me, us, something like that. You can give permission for the ghost to take over your body. They try to do that with, because the plan is that the ghosts of Jessel and Quint, who were also in love, I forgot to mention them, they were in love. They want to be together forever. We see that the ghost can't leave the mansion. He tries to go inside of Jessup's body, and then he's running out. As soon as he hits the border, he's flung out back onto the grounds and she's able to go forward. But he can't leave for some reason. But then their plan is to take over Miles and Flora and still leave. But you just shown that someone, even if they give permission, it doesn't work. So what is the point? But Flora eventually has like an epiphany, doesn't want to do it anymore. And same thing with Jessup. And that's why she's able to, be free to help Danny. But Danny tries to stop, these ghosts, they get stuck in memories and they kind of repeat until they lose their, but the Lady Lake's going to drown the girl, so Danny says, you, me, us, whatever, and allows her in her body. And then we get the wrap up. Like the rest of the episode is like a wrap up of what happened. Eventually, Danny and the gardener, they have a relationship together. They go to visit the cooks. This is like years later. They go to visit the cook at his restaurant in the States, where he tells them that the kids don't remember anything that happened. Now, I think Miles is older, but Flora's now 17. She has a boyfriend, which I can assume is, oh, hi, Mark, from the room. But at this point, but she doesn't remember. And neither of them remember. And so Danny's afraid that means that they won't remember her. But Danny also feels that Viola is starting to get closer and closer to taking her over, and she's afraid for the gardener's life. And this is what really started the flow of tears for me, is that she wakes up and she's almost like strangling her, and so she leaves. And so then the gardener goes to Bly Manor, and she goes under the water, which you can't really see underwater, but normally you can't, but here it's a show. She's usually under there, and she just screams, "Ah!" Her heart is broken because the woman she loved is now gone, and that's the moment. That is the moment that I was like, okay, everything that I had against trying to force this relationship, even in 1987, it works. I mean, by this point, I don't think it was 1987, because if the beginning part takes in 87, and this, if she was 8 then, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that's 9 years. 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. 1996 by this point. Still, I mean, you had sitcoms on TV doing it, I guess, but, Will and Grace and all that, but, it worked. And then we cut back to the wedding party. And I had already figured it out. By this point, I'd already figured out that the person telling the story was the gardener, Jamie. I'm like, it has to be Jamie telling the story. But then again, that's a lie, because she said the story is not my own. Both, yeah, it is, because you end from the gardener's point of view. So it is your story, so you lie. And it's revealed, which once I figured out it was her, I kind of figured out that the girl was probably Flora. She says her middle name was Flora, which means that when she grew up, her name changed, or maybe she was saying the name, using the middle name instead of so that she didn't know the story was about her. She used the middle name as the first name to kind of throw her off. Clever. The part that really started me crying, and I don't know why, but it's when they reveal the characters. And because I already knew the daughter, I already knew Flora. She said, "Oh, my middle name was Flora." And I'm like, okay, so that confirms that's Flora. I figured she's doing an American accent, which could have happened. They did move to the States, and she was 8 years old, and the voice could change as they grow up, especially if. But then Miles would still have that accent unless he forgot. But the uncle would still have that. I don't know. And she's marrying Mark from the room. And then you get this. I read to mention the cook. He has a picture of the Hannah, the housekeeper, on his wall to remember her. Because they were in love, of course. Everyone's in love. And I'm going to start crying again because we see a point of view from her. And we see that there's this gentleman and there's this older Indian guy. And it's revealed to be the cook and Miles. And I started tearing up. I'm like, oh, they're there. They're there. Because I'm like, well, where's everyone else? Because they're played by different actors. And it's like this older gentleman comes to dance with with Flora, the bride, and it's revealed that that's the uncle, and she's dancing with him. And then it's revealed that she's the gardener, of course. I don't know. I'm starting to tear up now. Just he got me. He got me. And then she still... This kind of doesn't make any sense. She goes home and she keeps looking in the reflection. I don't know if she understands why she's doing that. Because the reason that Danny kept looking in there for reflection is to see the lady in the lake. It's not going to work that way with her. But... And this... Oh... She's on the couch. She's got her head down because she's sad. And then all of a sudden you see a hand on her shoulder, revealing that Danny is there with her still as the episode ends. I'm sorry. I don't normally cry on camera, but I'm a sissy boy. I'm sorry. This got me. I was unfazed until the very end of this. From the moment she went into the lake and found her dead body to the very end, it's not often I cry in reviews. I admit when I was partway after a couple episodes, I was like, I'm gonna review this and I'm gonna rip the hell out of it because this isn't scary, this is nothing. But sometimes they say you gotta watch the whole thing, and by the end, this was fantastic. It's like a total opposite of Hunting Hill House, but from the performances to the atmosphere to the cinematography, it is fantastic. I recommend this. Don't go in expecting like horror stuff. This is a love story. Certified fresh. I should have known. Not all those always work, but So yeah, hold on. What are your thoughts on the Hunting of Hill House? No. Well, tell me your spoiler-free thoughts on that. But what are your thoughts on the Hunting of Bly Manor? I'm so flustered. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.